Hello everyone, I'm Dare. On our UK Discord today we had an interesting conversation about shuffling and pile shuffling. In LSS's tournament rules, it states that a pile shuffle is sufficient randomization as long as you're totally randomizing what cards you put the pile on. Never mind that you don't know if your opponent's actually randomizing what piles they're on. And it's not true. Like, it's not a case of, oh, it helps towards randomization, especially when I shuffle afterwards. There's no randomizing involved. So I'm just going to show you a little, like, it's a little self-working magic card trick that any of you can do, and hopefully, like, if you do actually do it, you can track what's going on as well, and you can sort of understand why this isn't working. So I'm just going to have a look at our cards here. So I'm just using these because they're to hand and they're easy. But all the cards in here are different. You can do this with any deck of cards. Doesn't matter. Like, there's no trickery goes on here. There's no sleight of hand. This is entirely showing you how a pile shuffle doesn't randomize anything. So you can do this trick without ever looking at the faces of the cards. For the purpose of the video, I'm going to have to look at the faces of the cards. However, hopefully you'll see that it doesn't matter if I've seen them or not. So the first thing, we can shuffle or whatever, it doesn't matter. I would just hold. You can just hold up the cards, and this is easier with deck of cards, so people don't have to look in. But all people need to do is think of the card. They don't need to tell me it. They don't need to touch the card. All they need to do is know what card they're going to get. So I think we're gonna. I like this guy on the front here, the little Teggy, little lake monster there. So this is gonna be your card. So I can quite happily shuffle. Could shuffle, don't need to shuffle. I can hand it to. Anyone else to shuffle because it's irrelevant. Now, me knowing where it starts will help me do a lot more kind of cheating maneuvers if I want to cheat a shuffle, but I don't even need like for the purposes of just showing that this isn't randomization. I'm not going to do any of the cheating maneuvers, sleight of hand, memory tricks. All I'm doing is showing you that the pile shuffle doesn't do anything. So we've established that. So all I'm going to do now, I'm going to give it a quick pile shuffle into 5 things. Now LSS says as long as I don't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 every time, then it's sufficient randomization. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to mix up where this goes. There we go. So now all I would need to ask you to do is tell me which pile your card is in. Was it that one? Yeah. So it's in that first pile we picked up. That doesn't matter much, but it's here. So I can ask you, you know, where is the card? We'll pick up here. We'll shuffle. That's fine. We'll shuffle. Pick up this thing, shuffle. Pick up this one, shuffle. Yeah, see, we can do whatever. Cut, shuffle. The important thing here is I've just put the pile, so we know the pile with my card on is the middle pile of those 5. I'll just do another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, this is sufficient randomization according to LSS, and all I want to do is show you that this isn't any form of randomization. So again, I just want to see where is Teggy here. So it's not in any of those piles. This is the pile he's in. Cool. So again, we're just going to pop some cards on top, pop some cards on bottom. Now, I could have got to this point without ever looking at the cards myself. Only you have looked at the cards. All I've done is you've memorized a card and you've told me which pile it's in twice. And between that, I've shuffled the piles and I've pile shuffled the deck. Your card is going to be the 13th card down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There is Teggy. Now I'm going to show you again. Just show you we're not on some kind of fluke or whatever. So let's shuffle up. You can think of any card. I think we'll just use whatever's on the front for now. So that's a water leaper, like a frog with wings. This is just like old Welsh Legends cards. So whatever, we can shuffle. In fact, we don't even need to shuffle. Let's pretend I want it to track it. Can't find it. So there it is, just on top of my deck. Doesn't matter, we're going to do some pile shuffling. Completely random, guys. This is randomization. And then we know it's in this pile, but again, where is it? It's in this pile, cool. Do we want to shuffle up the piles? Do we not want to shuffle up the piles? I don't care, doesn't matter. So we're gonna make sure it's just in the middle, that's all. And then just gonna do another pile shuffle. So complete randomization. Now, where is our frog with wings? He's still in that first pile. That makes things easier. There. So again, we'll just pick them up. You'll notice within two... I've forgotten where he went. He should be there, yeah. Within two pile shuffles, he went to that middle of that pack every time, which is why we know he's 13 down. Just took two pile shuffles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's our card again. The reason this works is to do with the layering. It doesn't matter about the randomization. When we, in this instance, it helps that we're using exact numbers here. But when we're using these piles of 5, I'll just quickly show you what's going on for specifically this trick. But this is why pile shuffling isn't random. When I pick up this pack of 5 to the top, we'll pick up all the cards, right? So this pack of 5 that I picked up first was on top, and then the next pack of 5. So if I'm now shuffling, for this trick, this is especially a thing, but people who cheat pile shuffles can do very, very similar things with numbers of piles and stuff. So the first 5 I've laid out are that first pile. So we knew that if the card that we looked at was in the first pile, it would be the bottom of any of these. But we know that we're going to put our card in the middle. So again, it doesn't matter my order. Now we know that this 5 pile of cards, because we picked up a pile, would be the pile that has our card in. So now again, it doesn't matter the order we put it on here for this trick, because you're going to tell me which pile it's in, and it's always going to be 3 from the bottom of the pile. So again, we just do that and that, and we know if we knew it was in this pile, it would have to be that one, because that's where we laid it. So this is a fun little trick, right? And it's pretty fun, 2 pile shuffles. But the point is, when you pick up this pile of cards, followed by another pile, followed by another pile, followed by another pile, you haven't randomized anything. You've set up 5 piles of cards. When you go into your next shuffle, those 5 cards, the last 5 cards, or the 5 card pile you put on the top, is on the bottom here. And again, next 5. So it goes around like that. So you can do a lot of really, really scummy things with this. Even if you're running like 60 card decks and stuff, you haven't randomized, you've resorted them, but you've resorted them in a manner that just changes the sort of what layer they're on. And that's why pile shuffling doesn't get you anywhere. So you could say, oh, I pile shuffled and now I'm shuffling my cards, doing some overhands. Quite hard to mash because these aren't sleeved, but doing some overhands, doing some riffles, you know, just to randomize. So I want to cover one other quick thing. So if I am shuffling here, there's one shuffle. Took about a second, maybe a second and a half. Maybe I want to do some riffles. They take me a bit longer. I'm not very fast at riffling, but riffle, riffle, shuffle. Mash shuffling, if I had sleeves, would be the right option. Right, look how many shuffles I just did in a few seconds. Now if I want to pile, even if my pile shuffle was randomizing, here's how long a pile shuffle is going to take me. This is working at fairly close to full speed, right, to get these all down. And then pick them all up. right? That was only one shuffle. That, I mean, it wasn't a randomization either, but that was one shuffle. That took the same time it takes me to do a number of shuffles, right? Like, so it's not just that there's no shuffling involved. All it does is waste time. So before you present your deck to your opponent, a pile shuffle can basically help you count the cards. Same as going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, to make sure you've got the correct number of cards. But after that, you need to sufficiently randomize your deck. Now, if you're using the pile shuffle because you think it's part of the sufficient randomization, what you're saying is the shuffles you do afterwards aren't enough of a randomization. You needed that one extra shuffle. But since that's not randomization, what you're saying is you're not presenting a randomized deck. The other thing people say they do it for is to get cards unstuck, which can be relevant. We all know sleeves can stick together, or a tiny dent in a corner can just get caught. So when you shuffle or mass shuffle, possibly those cards stick together. But during the course of a game, those cards won't be stuck together because you'll draw them together, you'll probably play one, and then a bit late, maybe pitch one, Arsenal one, whatever. So those cards split up. So then when you pick up your deck, at the end of a game, those cards are split. So there's nothing stuck together. If anything that's stuck together is fairly randomly stuck there. If you then say, oh well, these two blue pitch cards are stuck together, and I don't want my two blue pitch stuck together, so I'll just slide them, in separate parts of the deck like that, and then do my shuffle. Now, a lot of people do that. People used to do it or people still do it in Magic a lot of the time. They call it's mana weaving in Magic, which isn't allowed. And the reason it's not allowed, or if you see someone doing it, you should be very suspicious, is because if your subsequent shuffles are sufficient, then it doesn't matter that the two blues started next to each other. Maybe they end up next to each other, maybe they don't. Maybe they end up next to other blues. That's the nature of a random shuffle. If you've deliberately split them, either your shuffle isn't random enough and therefore you're actually cheating because you're deliberately keeping cards apart in your shuffle. So that would be like me knowing that Teggy's on top, Waterleaper's on bottom. I don't want them together, so I'll Teggy's down there, Waterleaper's up there. Like all I've done is reverse the order there. Do some more shuffling. Like people can. This is why you should also sometimes in bigger prize events keep track of opponent shuffles, because I still have one on bottom, one on top. But I'm deliberately keeping those away. Or maybe I want them next to each other, so I'll shuffle them so they land next to each other. And now when I shuffle my deck, if I'm not sufficiently randomizing, which this shuffling really probably isn't, because I can't mass shuffle unsleeved cards. I'm just really bad at it. So I've done that. I've done a couple shuffles afterwards. It looks like what most people do with shuffling, but we found the Waterleaper quite early. We have separated him. Okay. However, the odds were likely that they'd have still been quite close together, because I only did a couple of quick shuffles afterwards. And that's the problem where you're gonna fall into. Like, people don't shuffle properly most of the time. Like, you watch someone shuffle, it's never sufficient. It's never, like, you need to weave a couple of types of shuffles in. But that's by the by. Like, the pile shuffling's the real issue here. And the pile shuffling is, like, there's a reason people stop calling it pile shuffling. It's pile sorting. You're reorganizing the cards, mostly within layers, and it's very, very easy to cheat when it comes to that. If you know where your card is, you can pile shuffle in a way that guarantees the card, like a card or multiple cards, if you're good at tracking cards, go to specific spots in your deck. And yes, you can then give your opponent. A lot of opponents just cut instead of shuffling. So casual events is fine. Like bigger events, hopefully they would shuffle your deck. But if an opponent just cuts and you've specifically weaved like your best cards, maybe 6 or 7 cards apart, so you'll see them once every turn or two for those big turns, and all your opponent does is cut, then Yeah, like the fact that LSS consider this, the fact that they consider this complete randomization, complete sufficient randomization, is what the real issue is. Like, I've mentioned a lot of other things about shuffling, but the real problem here is not you or the way you shuffle necessarily. It's the fact that LSS allows that within the rules, and it's ridiculous. That's like saying I could just take my deck out my deck box and go, here you go. I promise I shuffled it. And then you're welcome to take it and shuffle it, and you absolutely should. But if you choose to just cut it, then I have nothing's changed. And that's all I wanted to rant about today. So, thanks everyone for watching, and hopefully I'll have some more upbeat stories for Flesh and Blood in future. Because I do really like the game. The florals for this is baffling. Honestly, baffling. They want to do $1 million prize pools, and they think that a pile shuffle is acceptable randomization.